The morning sun hadn't even cleared the buildings when Lisa pulled into the parking lot of Riverside Cafe. Her eyes felt heavy, and she could already feel the weight of another double shift settling on her shoulders. 3 months. That's how long she'd been running this place practically by herself, while the owners searched for a new manager. 3 long, exhausting months. She unlocked the back door and flipped on the lights. The cafe wouldn't open for another hour, but there was so much to do. Inventory to check, the morning prep to finish, and somewhere in all of that, she needed to figure out why the walk-in cooler was making that awful grinding noise again. Lisa had just started counting coffee bags when she heard the back door open. She glanced at her watch. Nobody else was scheduled for another 30 minutes. She walked to the kitchen and saw a guy standing there looking around like he wasn't quite sure what to do with himself. He was probably in his early 30s, wearing faded jeans and a plain gray t-shirt. Nothing fancy. He had the kind of face that was easy to forget in a crowd. Not ugly, not particularly handsome, just normal. "Can I help you?" Lisa asked, wiping her hands on her apron. "Hi, yeah. I'm Alex. I'm supposed to start today." Lisa's mind went blank for a second. Start today? Nobody had told her about a new hire. Then again, nobody told her much of anything these days. The main office just sent people over and expected her to figure it out. "Okay," she said, trying to hide her frustration. "Kitchen or front of house?" Alex shrugged. "Whatever you need, I guess." They didn't really specify. Great. Another person who didn't know what they were doing. Lisa grabbed a spare apron from the hook and tossed it to him. "You ever worked in a restaurant before?" "A bit. Here and there." "Fine. See that sink over there? Dishes. We've got about 45 minutes before we open and everything needs to be clean."
"Can you handle that?"
"Sure thing." Lisa expected some pushback, maybe a question about whether he'd be doing other tasks too. Most new hires didn't love being thrown straight into dish duty. But Alex just nodded, tied on the apron, and walked over to the sink like it was no big deal. She went back to her checklist, making mental notes of everything that needed ordering. The espresso machine was acting up again. She'd reported it to maintenance 5 times now. And every time they told her it was on the list. Meanwhile, she was the one who had to apologize to customers when their lattes took twice as long to make. Throughout the morning rush, Lisa kept an eye on the new guy. Alex worked steadily, not fast but not slow either. What surprised her was that he didn't just stick to the dishes. When he finished those, he grabbed a broom without being asked. Then he restocked the napkins. Then he noticed they were running low on cups and brought more from the back. During a brief lull, Lisa grabbed 2 cups of coffee and walked over to where Alex was wiping down counters. "Here," she said, handing him one. "You've earned it." "Thanks." He took a sip and smiled. "Good coffee. It better be. I picked the beans myself." Lisa leaned against the counter. "So who hired you? Was it corporate or the regional office?" I think it was corporate." Honestly, the whole thing happened pretty fast. That tracked. Corporate had a habit of making decisions without consulting anyone who actually worked in the stores. Lisa had stopped being surprised by it. "Well, you're doing good," she said. "Most people complain when I put them on dishes first day." "It's honest work," Alex said. "Besides, you get to see how the whole place operates from back here. Watch how everything flows." Lisa raised an eyebrow. That was a weird thing for a new hire to say. Most people just wanted to know when their break was and what time they could leave. "You sound like you've been doing this a while," she said. "Long enough to know that the people washing dishes usually notice more than the people giving orders." Lisa laughed. "You got that right." The afternoon shift came and went. Alex continued to surprise her. When the lunch rush hit and they got slammed, he jumped in wherever he was needed. Clearing tables, running food, even helping at the register when the line got too long. He didn't do everything perfectly, but he didn't have to be told twice either. What really caught Lisa's attention was how he watched things. Most new employees were focused on their own tasks, trying not to mess up. But Alex seemed to be paying attention to everything. How she handled the angry customer whose order got mixed up. How she reorganized the workflow when 2 people called in sick. How she stayed calm even when the espresso machine started leaking right in the middle of the rush. "You ask a lot of questions," Lisa said when they finally had a moment to breathe. "Do I? Sorry if it's annoying. No, it's fine. Better than people who don't care enough to ask." She grabbed a rag and started wiping down the counter. "Most people just want to do their hours and go home." "Can't blame them, really. What about you?" Alex asked. You seem like you care about this place. Lisa paused. It was a more personal question than she expected from someone she'd just met. But there was something genuine in the way he asked it. Not nosy, just interested. Yeah, I do, she admitted. I've been here 4 years. Started as a barista. Worked my way up. This place, I don't know. It sounds cheesy, but it feels like home, you know? The regular customers, the team, we're like a weird little family. That's not cheesy, Alex said. That's rare. Most places don't have that. Lisa felt herself relax a little. Yeah, well, we'll see how long it lasts. Corporate's been making noises about changes. Nothing good ever comes from that. Before Alex could respond, 3 customers walked in, and they both went back to work. By the time closing rolled around, Lisa was exhausted but impressed. Alex had kept up all day without complaining once. As she counted the register, he was in the back, making sure everything was clean and ready for tomorrow's opening shift. Hey, she called out. You can head out. I'll finish up here. Alex walked out, drying his hands on a towel. You sure? I don't mind staying. Nah, you did good today. Really good. Lisa smiled. See you tomorrow? Definitely. Same time? 7 in the morning. Try not to be late. I'll be here. Lisa watched him leave, then turned back to finish closing up. It had been a long time since she'd had a new hire who actually seemed to care about doing a good job. Maybe things were looking up. She locked the door behind her and walked to her car. Tomorrow would be another long day, but at least she had some decent help now. That was something. What Lisa didn't know, couldn't possibly know, was that the man she'd spent all day training wasn't just another worker. Alex Chen was the new CEO of the entire cafe chain, and he'd just spent his first day undercover, learning exactly why one of his best locations was falling apart. He sat in his car in the parking lot, watching Lisa drive away. Then he pulled out his phone and started typing notes, not about profits or efficiency metrics, about broken equipment that nobody fixed, about a manager who paid for a customer's coffee out of her own pocket when their card was declined, about a team that cared deeply but was slowly drowning in neglect. Tomorrow he'd come back. And the day after that, because Alex was beginning to realize that the problem with Riverside Cafe wasn't what he'd expected at all. 2 weeks had passed since Alex started working at the cafe, and Lisa found herself actually looking forward to their shifts together. It was nice having someone reliable for a change. Someone who showed up on time, worked hard, and didn't spend half their shift on their phone. They'd fallen into an easy rhythm. Alex usually came in early, just like she did. They'd prep together in the comfortable silence of the empty cafe, the smell of fresh coffee filling the air. Sometimes they'd talk, sometimes they wouldn't. It didn't matter either way. You know what drives me crazy? Lisa said one morning while restocking the pastry case. Alex was beside her refilling the syrup bottles. What's that? Corporate sent another email yesterday. They want us to start using this new system for tracking inventory. Sounds great, right? Except the system costs money we don't have, and it requires tablets that they're not providing. So basically, they want us to do more work with less resources. Alex looked up from the bottles. Do they do that a lot? Ask for things without giving you what you need? Lisa laughed, but there was no humor in it. All the time. See that freezer back there? She pointed toward the kitchen. It's been broken for 3 weeks. I've sent 6 emails, made 4 phone calls. Know what they keep telling me? It's on the priority list. Meanwhile, we're losing food every day because it's not cold enough. That's frustrating. Frustrating doesn't even cover it. Lisa closed the pastry case with more force than necessary. Sorry, I shouldn't dump all this on you. You're new. You don't need to hear me complain. I don't mind, Alex said quietly. Sometimes it helps to talk about it. And that became their thing. During slow afternoons, while they cleaned tables or organized the stockroom, Lisa would vent. She told him about the previous manager who quit after corporate rejected every single improvement idea he proposed, about the staffing system that never worked right, constantly scheduling people for shifts they couldn't work, about the ancient POS system that crashed at least once a week. The thing is, Lisa said one day while they were taking their breakout back, we know what customers want. We're here every day. We talk to them, we see what works and what doesn't. But corporate? They're sitting in some office building making, based on spreadsheets. They've never worked a single shift here. Alex was quiet for a moment, staring at his coffee cup. What would you change if you could? If they actually listened to you? Lisa had never really thought about it as a real possibility before. It was always just wishful thinking, but Alex seemed genuinely interested, so she started talking. First, I'd fix all the broken equipment. Not just patch it up, actually replace it. That espresso machine is 7 years old. It breaks down twice a week. Do you know how embarrassing it is to tell customers we can't make their drinks because our machine is dead again? What else? Better scheduling software. One that actually works with people's availability instead of against it. And I'd hire 2 more people at least. We're constantly running on a skeleton crew. Everyone's burned out. Sounds like you've thought about this. Of course I have. I care about this place, Lisa sighed. Not that it matters. They don't listen to people like me. What Lisa didn't see was the way Alex pulled out his phone later that night and typed everything into his notes. Every complaint, every suggestion, every piece of broken equipment. He was building a case, though he couldn't tell her that yet. The 3rd week brought a new challenge. A corporate representative showed up unannounced one Tuesday morning. Her name was Patricia, and she had the kind of smile that didn't reach her eyes. Lisa was helping a customer when Patricia walked in, clipboard in hand. Alex was in the back and he heard everything through the serving window. "I'm here for a surprise inspection," Patricia announced, loud enough for customers to hear. "I need to see your inventory logs, cleaning schedules, and last month's waste reports. Now." Lisa excused herself from the customer and grabbed the binders from the office. Her hands were shaking slightly, Alex noticed. She was angry, trying to hold it together. Patricia went through everything with a critical eye, making notes and tisk-tisking sounds that made Lisa's jaw clench tighter and tighter. "Your waste numbers are too high," Patricia said, not looking up from her clipboard. "That's because the freezer isn't working properly," Lisa explained, keeping her voice level. "I've reported it multiple times. Food is spoiling because that's not an excuse. You need to manage your inventory better." Patricia made another note. "And I see you've been giving out free drinks. That's against policy. Only to regulars who've had issues with their orders. It's basic customer service. It's theft from the company." Patricia looked at Lisa for the first time, her expression cold. "You're the manager here. Act like it." Alex watched Lisa's face go red. He wanted to say something, to step in, but he couldn't blow his cover. Not yet. So he stood there gripping the counter, forcing himself to stay quiet. After Patricia left, dropping off a stack of new corporate initiatives that would require more work and more time, Lisa disappeared into the storage room. Alex gave her a minute, then followed. He found her sitting on a box of supplies, her head in her hands. She wasn't crying, but she looked like she wanted to. "You okay?" he asked softly. Lisa looked up, and for a second Alex saw just how tired she really was. Not just today tired. Bone-deep exhausted. "I'm sorry," she said, wiping her eyes quickly. "This is so unprofessional. You shouldn't see your supervisor falling apart in the storage room. Hey, you're human. You're allowed to have feelings. Not according to corporate." Lisa let out a shaky laugh. "You know what the worst part is? I give everything to this place. I come in early. I stay late. I cover shifts when people are sick. I paid for Mrs. Chen's coffee last week out of my own pocket because her card declined and she was embarrassed. And it's never enough. It's never going to be enough." Alex sat down on another box across from her. "You're an amazing manager, Lisa. The problem isn't you. Doesn't matter." She pulled out her phone and showed him an email. "See this? They're considering closing this location. Poor performance, they say. They gave me 3 months to turn things around." Alex felt his stomach drop. He knew the location was struggling. That's why he'd come here. But seeing it through Lisa's eyes, understanding how impossible her situation was, made everything different. 3 months, Lisa continued, her voice hollow. 3 months to fix 4 years of neglect. With broken equipment, no support, and corporate actively working against me. It's a joke. What will you do? What can I do? I'll try. I'll probably fail. And then I'll have to find another job. She stood up, wiping her hands on her apron. This cafe was supposed to be different, you know? When I started here, it was the best location in the whole chain. Customers loved us. Staff wanted to work here. Now look at us. They walked back out to the main floor together. The afternoon rush was starting, and there was work to do. Lisa put on her customer service smile and got back to it. But Alex could see the cracks now. Could see how much effort it took her to keep going. That night, Alex sat in his car after closing, watching Lisa lock up. She looked so small, so tired, walking to her car alone. He pulled out his phone and sent an urgent message to his assistant. Schedule emergency board meeting. Tomorrow night. Mandatory attendance. Then he started writing his presentation, not the one he'd planned when he first came here. Not about cutting costs or improving efficiency metrics. This one was different. This one was about how his company was failing people like Lisa, how they were strangling their best locations with bureaucracy and neglect. He wrote late into the night, fueled by coffee and frustration. Because Lisa deserved better, her team deserved better, and if the board couldn't see that, he'd make them see it. The next morning, Alex showed up for his shift as usual. Lisa greeted him with a tired smile and they got to work. She had no idea that tonight, her entire world was about to change, that the guy washing dishes beside her was about to walk into a boardroom and fight for her cafe, and Alex had no idea how she'd react when she found out who he really was. The boardroom was on the 15th floor of a glass tower downtown, about as far from the smell of coffee and fresh pastries as you could get. Alex sat at the head of the long table, 8 board members staring at him with various degrees of curiosity and impatience. They'd all dropped everything to be here and they weren't happy about it. "This better be important, Alex," said Richard, the CFO. He was in his 60s, sharp-eyed and skeptical about everything. "You said it was urgent." "It is." Alex opened his laptop and pulled up his presentation. "For the past 3 weeks, I've been working undercover at our Riverside Cafe location." That got their attention. A few board members exchanged glances. One woman, Jennifer from operations, leaned forward. "Undercover? Why?" "Because the numbers said it was failing and I wanted to understand why before we made any decisions about closing it." Alex clicked to the first slide. It showed a photo he'd taken on his phone. The broken freezer with a handwritten sign that said "Broken Again" taped to it. "This is what I found." For the next 20 minutes, Alex walked them through everything. The equipment that had been reported broken for months. The staffing software that didn't work. The inventory system that corporate wanted implemented without providing the tools to do it. He showed them emails Lisa had sent, requests that had been ignored, problems that had been pushed aside. The manager at this location, Lisa Torres, has sent 43 maintenance requests in the past 6 months. Alex said, pulling up a spreadsheet. 43. Want to know how many were actually addressed? 7. And of those 7, only 2 were properly fixed. Equipment breaks down, Richard said with a shrug. That's normal wear and tear. It's not wear and tear when we ignore every request for help. Alex's voice was harder now. This woman is working 60-hour weeks trying to keep that cafe running with one hand tied behind her back. And we're blaming her for poor performance? The numbers don't lie, Jennifer said, tapping her tablet. Revenue is down 18% over the last year. Customer satisfaction scores have dropped. The location is losing money. Because we're letting it fail. Alex stood up, too frustrated to sit still. You want to know why revenue is down? Because the espresso machine breaks down twice a week. Because customers get tired of waiting 20 minutes for a latte. Because we're so understaffed that the wait times are ridiculous. Because the freezer doesn't work and half the menu isn't available. He clicked to another slide. This one showed a graph tracking maintenance requests versus response times. The line was brutal. Requests going up, responses going down. Lisa Torres is one of the best managers in our entire chain, Alex continued. She knows every regular customer by name. She's trained 3 people who now manage other locations. Her team has the lowest turnover rate in the region, and we're about to throw all of that away because we're too cheap to fix a freezer? It's not about being cheap, Richard shot back. It's about resource allocation. We have 67 locations. We can't give everyone everything they want. I'm not talking about everything. I'm talking about basic equipment maintenance, about listening when someone tells us there's a problem. Alex pulled up another slide. This location was our flagship store 4 years ago. Best performance metrics in the company. What changed? We stopped investing in it. We stopped listening. The room was quiet for a moment. Then a younger board member, David, spoke up. What are you proposing? Give me 3 months, Alex said. Give Lisa the resources she's been asking for. New equipment, proper staffing, and most importantly, autonomy. Let her run the cafe the way she knows it should be run. If it doesn't turn around, then we close it. But at least give it a fair shot. And if it fails? Jennifer asked. Then I'll personally oversee the closure and take full responsibility. Richard laughed, shaking his head. You're willing to bet your reputation on one cafe? On one manager you've known for 3 weeks? Yes. That's insane. Maybe. Alex looked around the table, meeting each person's eyes. But I spent 3 weeks washing dishes, taking out trash, and watching one of our best people slowly break under the weight of our own bureaucracy. I watched her pay for a customer's coffee out of her own pocket because she cares that much. I watched her come in early and stay late every single day, trying to fix problems that we created. So yes, I'm willing to bet on her. The board members looked at each other. No one seemed quite sure what to say. Finally, Jennifer spoke. There's one condition. What's that? You have to tell her who you are. You can't keep running this experiment while lying to your own manager. It's not right, and frankly, it's a liability. Alex felt his stomach tighten. He'd known this moment was coming, but that didn't make it easier. Agreed. And you'll work directly with her, Jennifer continued. No more hiding behind corporate. If this is going to work, you need to own it. Fine. Richard sighed heavily. I think this is a mistake. But you're the CEO. If you want to waste 3 months and company resources on a failing location, that's your call. He stood up, gathering his things. Just don't expect us to be happy about it when it doesn't work out. The meeting ended, and board members filed out, some supportive, others clearly skeptical. Alex stayed behind, staring at his laptop screen. Tomorrow morning, he'd have to walk into that cafe and tell Lisa the truth. That he'd been lying to her for 3 weeks. That everything she'd confided in him, every frustration she'd shared, he'd heard it all while hiding who he really was. She was going to be furious. She had every right to be. That night, Alex barely slept. He kept rehearsing what he'd say, how he'd explain himself. Nothing sounded right. How do you tell someone you've been deceiving them, even if it was for good reasons? The next morning, he put on a suit for the first time in weeks. It felt strange after spending so much time in jeans and t-shirts. He drove to the cafe earlier than usual. Lisa's car was already there, of course it was. She was always early. He found her in the office, going through paperwork with a coffee cup in hand. She looked up when he walked in, and her expression immediately shifted from tired to confused. Alex, why are you dressed like that? Lisa, we need to talk. Something in his voice made her stand up. What's going on? Did something happen? Are you quitting? No, I'm not quitting. He closed the office door behind him and took a deep breath. But I haven't been honest with you. My name is Alex Chen, and I'm the CEO of this company. The color drained from Lisa's face. For a long moment, she just stared at him, like she was waiting for the punchline to a joke that wasn't coming. What? I came here 3 weeks ago to investigate why this location was failing. I thought if I worked here, if I saw things from the ground level, I'd understand what was going wrong. Lisa's expression shifted from shock to something else, something colder. You've been lying to me? This whole time? Yes. Every conversation we had, every time I complained about corporate, every time I told you my frustrations, you were corporate. You were the person I was complaining about. I know how this looks. You know how this looks. Lisa's voice was rising now. You spied on me. You let me trust you, let me open up to you, and it was all fake. You were just gathering information like I was some kind of research project. That's not— Get out! Lisa, please! I said get out! She pointed at the door, her hand shaking. I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want to hear how you were just doing your job. You lied to me and I'm done. Get out of my cafe. Alex opened his mouth to argue, to explain about the board meeting and the resources and the 3-month plan. But the look on Lisa's face stopped him. She wasn't just angry. She was hurt, betrayed, and he'd done that to her. I'm sorry, he said quietly, and walked out. He sat in his car in the parking lot for a long time, watching through the window as Lisa opened the cafe for the morning. She moved like a robot, going through the motions mechanically. He'd come here to save this place, and instead, he'd broken the one person holding it together. Alex pulled out his phone and stared at it. He could back out now. Tell the board it wasn't going to work, close the location, and move on. It would be easier that way. But then he thought about the 43 ignored maintenance requests. About Lisa showing up every day despite everything working against her. About the cafe that used to be their best location before they stopped caring. He put his phone away and started the car. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. He just had to figure out how to fix what he'd broken. Lisa didn't sleep that night. She kept replaying every conversation she'd had with Alex, every moment she'd trusted him. The way she'd complained about corporate, not knowing he was the head of the entire company. The way she'd broken down in the storage room, showing weakness to the one person she should have been trying to impress. It made her feel stupid, exposed. When her alarm went off at 5:30, she seriously considered calling in sick for the first time in 2 years. But that wasn't who she was. She dragged herself out of bed, got dressed, and drove to the cafe. She half expected Alex to be there, but the parking lot was empty. Good. She unlocked the door and started her morning routine on autopilot. Coffee, pastries, inventory, the same things she did every day. Except today everything felt different. Tainted. Around 7 there was a knock on the back door. She almost didn't answer it. But then she thought it might be a delivery, so she walked over and looked through the window. Alex stood there in a t-shirt and jeans. Not the suit from yesterday. He looked tired, like maybe he hadn't slept either. Lisa opened the door but blocked the entrance with her body. "What do you want?" "To talk, please. I think you said enough yesterday. I know you're angry." "Angry?" Lisa laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I'm way past angry. You lied to me for 3 weeks. You made me look like a fool. You didn't look like a fool. You looked like someone who cares about her job and her team. That's what I saw. Oh, great. I'm so glad the CEO approves." She started to close the door, but Alex put his hand up. "Lisa, please. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." She wanted to say no, wanted to slam the door in his face. But something in his expression made her pause. He looked genuinely sorry. Not the corporate sorry that people say when they don't mean it. "Actually sorry. 5 minutes," she said, stepping aside. They stood in the kitchen, an awkward distance between them. Alex shoved his hands in his pockets like he didn't know what to do with them. "I went to the board meeting the night before I told you," he started. "I showed them everything I learned here. The broken equipment, the ignored requests, all of it. I fought for this cafe. How noble of you. I'm not trying to be noble. I'm trying to fix what's broken." He pulled out his phone and showed her an email. "Look." Lisa took the phone reluctantly. It was an approval for new equipment. The espresso machine, the freezer, the POS system, everything she'd been begging for. The approval date was 2 days ago. "This is approved?" she asked, not quite believing it. "All of it, plus 2 new hires, upgraded scheduling software, and a direct line to me instead of going through regional management. Patricia won't be bothering you anymore." Lisa handed the phone back. "So what, you expect me to just forget that you lied? To say thank you and move on? No, I expect you to be angry." "You should be angry." "I messed up?" Alex ran a hand through his hair. "I came here thinking I'd find a failing manager. Someone who wasn't doing their job. Instead, I found someone who was doing 3 people's jobs with 0 support. And I should have told you the truth sooner. Why didn't you? Honestly? At first, I didn't think you'd be honest with me if you knew who I was. People always act different around the boss. And I needed to see the real problems, not the version people show corporate." He met her eyes. "But then I got to know you. And the longer I waited, the harder it got to tell you. I knew you'd feel betrayed, and I didn't want that. But I didn't know how to fix it without lying more." Lisa leaned against the counter, processing everything. Part of her was still furious. But another part, the part that had been fighting alone for so long, was exhausted. And here was someone offering help. Real help, not empty promises. "So what happens now?" she asked quietly. "Now you decide if you want to try to save this place. With actual support this time. And you? What's your role in all this?" "Whatever you need me to be. Advisor. Extra pair of hands, punching bag for when you're frustrated. Your choice. I don't trust you, I know. I'll have to earn that back." Alex pulled a business card from his pocket and set it on the counter. "That's my direct number. Not an assistant, not a receptionist. Me. You call, I answer. Day or night." Lisa picked up the card, turning it over in her hands. "The board really approved all this?" "Some of them think I'm crazy. But yeah, they approved it. You've got 3 months to turn this place around, and this time you'll have everything you need to do it." 3 months isn't a lot of time, and no, it's not. But I've seen what you can do with nothing. Imagine what you can do with actual resources. Before Lisa could respond, there was another knock at the back door. The morning shift was starting to arrive. Real life interrupting their conversation. "I should let you work," Alex said, heading for the door. "Wait." Lisa surprised herself by calling after him. He turned back, hopeful. "Are you working today or not?" "Do you want me to?" Lisa thought about it. Every instinct told her to say no to keep her distance. But the cafe needed help and she couldn't let pride get in the way of what was best for her team. Fine. But you're on dishes, and you're using the employee entrance from now on, not walking through the front like you own the place. A small smile crossed Alex's face. I technically do own the place. Do you want the job or not? Dishes, got it. The first week was tense. Lisa kept Alex at arm's length, professional but cold. She gave him tasks and he did them without complaint. The staff noticed the awkwardness, but nobody asked questions. If they wondered why the new guy suddenly had the CEO's personal cell phone number, they didn't say anything. But slowly, things started to change. Not between them, that was still complicated, but at the cafe itself. The new espresso machine arrived, gleaming and perfect. When it was installed, Lisa ran her hand over it like it was something precious. "It's beautiful," she said, and Alex could hear the emotion in her voice. "You deserve equipment that works. The team deserves it." The freezer was replaced next. Then the PO system. Each upgrade made the work a little easier, the days a little less chaotic. Lisa hired 2 new people, good workers who actually showed up on time. The schedule worked properly for the first time in months. One evening, about 2 weeks after the revelation, they were closing up together. Most of the staff had already left. Lisa was counting the register while Alex wiped down tables. "Numbers are up," Lisa said, not looking at him. 7% increase in the first 2 weeks. "That's great. It's a start." She closed the register and grabbed her jacket. "The new equipment helps. The extra staff helps more." "What about the boss?" Alex asked. "Does he help or just get in the way?" Lisa paused at the door, considering. Jury's still out on that one. But there was the smallest hint of a smile at the corner of her mouth. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But it was something. A crack in the wall she'd built between them. "Same time tomorrow?" Alex asked. 7 in the morning. "Don't be late." "Wouldn't dream of it." After she left, Alex stayed behind for a minute, looking around the cafe. It was starting to look like the place Lisa had described, the flagship location it used to be. The equipment worked, the staff was happy, and the customers were coming back. But more than that, he was learning something he'd never understood from behind a desk. That running a business wasn't about spreadsheets and profit margins. It was about people. People like Lisa, who showed up every day and gave everything they had. People who deserved to be supported, not abandoned. He locked up and walked to his car. Tomorrow he'd be back at 7, ready to wash dishes or take out trash or whatever Lisa needed. Because that's what you did when you were part of a team. You showed up. And slowly, one day at a time, maybe she'd trust him again. Not because he was the CEO, but because he'd earned it. The 3-month deadline came faster than anyone expected. Lisa stood in the cafe's office, staring at the calendar on the wall. Tomorrow was the day, the board meeting where they'd decide if Riverside Cafe stayed open or closed for good. She pulled up the numbers on her computer for what felt like the 100th time. Revenue was up 23%. Customer satisfaction scores had jumped from 68% to 92%. Staff turnover was basically 0. On paper, they'd done everything right. But would it be enough? "You're going to wear a hole in that mouse from clicking so much." Lisa turned to see Alex leaning in the doorway. He wasn't in a suit yet. That would come tomorrow for the board meeting. Today he was still in his usual jeans and t-shirt, looking like any other member of the team. "Just reviewing everything one more time," she said. "We've reviewed it 20 times. The numbers are solid. Numbers don't mean anything if the board decides they want to close us anyway." Lisa closed the laptop. They could say it's not enough growth or it's too expensive to maintain or whatever reason they want. Alex walked into the office and sat on the edge of the desk. "Then we fight harder. Show them what this place has become." Over the past 2.5 months, something had shifted between them. Lisa wouldn't say they were friends exactly, but the sharp edge of anger had dulled. She'd watched Alex show up every single day, doing whatever needed to be done without complaint. He'd proven himself not with words but with actions. "Can I ask you something?" Lisa said. "Why does this matter so much to you? You're the CEO. You've got dozens of locations. Why fight so hard for this one?" Alex was quiet for a moment, thinking. "Because I was wrong. When I took this job, I thought success was about efficiency and profit margins, just numbers on a screen. But working here, seeing what you built, watching how you care about people, it changed how I see everything." He met her eyes. This cafe matters because the people in it matter. And I almost destroyed it because I was too far removed to see that. Lisa felt something in her chest loosen. You know what? I forgive you. What? For lying. For going undercover. All of it, she smiled slightly. I mean, I'm still annoyed when I think about it. But I get why you did it. And you've more than made up for it. I have. You gave me everything I asked for. You actually listened, and you've been here every day doing the work. That counts for something. Before Alex could respond, there was a commotion in the main cafe area. They both rushed out to find the dinner rush in full swing. Every table was packed, there was a line out the door, and the staff was scrambling to keep up. This is crazy, called out Jenny, one of the new hires, as she rushed past with a tray of drinks. We've never been this busy. Lisa jumped into action, taking orders and making drinks. Alex grabbed an apron and started running food to tables. They worked together like a well-oiled machine, anticipating each other's movements, covering gaps without needing to communicate. 2 hours later, when the rush finally died down, the entire staff was exhausted but smiling. That was insane, Jenny said, collapsing into a chair. Good insane, but still insane. That's what success looks like, Lisa said, grinning. Better get used to it. That night, after everyone else had left, Lisa and Alex cleaned up together in comfortable silence. It reminded Lisa of those early morning prep sessions before everything got complicated. Except now she knew who he really was, and somehow that made it better, not worse. Nervous about tomorrow? Alex asked, putting away the last of the chairs. Terrified, Lisa admitted. What if they say no? Then we appeal, we fight. We don't give up, we? Yeah, we. You're not in this alone anymore. The next afternoon, Lisa put on her best professional outfit and drove to the corporate building downtown. Alex had offered to pick her up, but she'd wanted to drive herself. Needed to feel like she had some control over something. The boardroom was exactly what she'd imagined. Huge table, expensive chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. 8 people sat around the table, all of them looking at her like she was under a microscope. Alex was already there, sitting at the head of the table in a suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. He looked different here. More CEO, less the guy who washed dishes beside her. Lisa Torres, everyone, Alex said, gesturing for her to sit. The manager who pulled off a miracle. Let's see this miracle, said the older man Lisa recognized as Richard, the CFO. He didn't sound impressed. For the next 30 minutes, Lisa presented everything. She showed the revenue growth, the customer feedback, the staff retention rates. She talked about the changes they'd made, the systems they'd improved, and the community they'd built. She'd practiced this presentation a dozen times, but standing here in front of these people who held her cafe's fate in their hands, every word felt crucial. When she finished, the room was quiet, too quiet. These are good numbers, Jennifer from operations finally said. Better than we expected, honestly. But Lisa could hear the but coming. But the question is whether this growth is sustainable, whether it's worth the continued investment. It's worth it, Alex said firmly. This location is profitable again. More than that, it's become a model for what our company should be. Lisa implemented systems here that we should be rolling out to every location. One good quarter doesn't erase years of poor performance, Richard argued. One good quarter that happened the moment we actually gave her the resources to succeed, Alex countered. The poor performance wasn't her fault. It was ours. The board members looked at each other, having silent conversations with their eyes. Lisa's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Finally, Jennifer spoke. I move that we keep the location open and expand the pilot program to 3 more struggling locations, with Lisa Torres leading the implementation. Second, said another board member. Richard sighed heavily. Fine, but I want monthly reports. If the numbers slip, they won't, Lisa said, finding her voice. I promise you they won't. The vote was quick. 7 in favor, 1 abstention. Riverside Cafe would stay open. Lisa felt her knees go weak with relief. Alex was grinning, and even the skeptical board members looked cautiously optimistic. There's one more thing, Alex said. Lisa, we'd like to offer you a new position. Regional Director of Operations. You'd oversee 10 locations implementing the changes that worked at Riverside. Lisa's mouth fell open. I what? You've proven you know how to run a cafe better than anyone else in this company. We want you to teach others. But what about Riverside? Who'll manage it? Jenny's ready. You've trained her well. She'll take over as manager, and you'll still oversee the location as part of your region. Lisa looked around the table at all these powerful people offering her a future she'd never imagined. 6 months ago, she'd been drowning, fighting alone to save a failing cafe. Now she was being promoted to reshape how the entire company operated. I accept, she said.
On one condition. What's that?
Alex asked. You have to work 1 shift a month at a different location, undercover if you want, or as yourself. But you need to stay connected to the real work. Promise me, Alex smiled. Deal. 3 months later, Lisa stood in Riverside Cafe watching the dinner rush. Jenny was managing beautifully. The new systems were running smoothly and customers kept coming back. The cafe had been featured in a local magazine as a comeback story, and other locations in the chain were already seeing improvements from implementing Lisa's changes. Alex walked in, not in a suit but in jeans and a t-shirt. He'd kept his promise, working shifts at different locations, listening to staff, fixing problems before they became crises. How's the regional director life treating you? He asked, ordering a coffee. Exhausting, rewarding, terrifying, all of the above. Lisa made his coffee herself. Old habits, but good, really good. You've changed this company, you know, for the better. We changed it, Lisa corrected. You didn't have to listen. You didn't have to fight for us. But you did. Best decision I ever made. Alex took a sip of his coffee. Still perfect, by the way. Lisa smiled. Some things don't change. They stood together watching the cafe bustle with life. This place that had almost died that they'd both fought to save. It wasn't just about the coffee or the revenue or the corporate success. It was about people, about second chances, about finding worth in the places others had given up on. Hey, Lisa, Alex said, yeah? Thanks for giving me a chance to make things right. Thanks for showing up, she replied, even when it was hard. Outside, the sun was setting over the city, casting golden light through the cafe windows. Inside, people laughed and talked over good coffee and better company. And somewhere in the middle of it all, a manager and a CEO who'd learned to see each other as partners stood side by side, proud of what they'd built together. The cafe that almost closed became the cafe that changed everything. And it all started with one person brave enough to care and another brave enough to listen.